Hello, everybody, and welcome. Today, my lovely guest is Kathy Wolff, and not only is she an incredible human being, but she's a wonderful wife, mother, an incredibly passionate dog mom, and she runs her business Mosaic Dog Training. She's out in Wisconsin. Kathy is a family dog mediator and animal Reiki practitioner with the Let Animals Lead method. She's a mindfulness coach. She's also a graduate of distinction with the Catch Canine Trainers Academy. She's a lover of dance and movement as a healing modality, and most recently has completed her certification through the University of Vermont as an end-of-life doula for companion animals. And that's what we're going to be chatting about today. Good. So welcome, Kathy. Thank you very much for being here with me. And so I'm really excited to hear about this course that you've just completed and graduated from, which is End-of-Life Doula for Companion Animals. Now, this is such an amazing sounding title, and I didn't even know something like this existed. So I would really love you to tell me, Kathy, what is a doula?
First off, thank you for letting me come here and talk about this. This has been an amazing journey. So a doula is a non-medical part of a care team, and we support the client by emotionally, physically. We help them in any way that's not medical, I guess would be a really great way to put it. So we're not a medical part of the team. We just are there to really support our client in any way we can with empathy, compassion, resources, whatever really needs to be done. We're just a real close helpmeet for that client when they're going through. Doulas can be birth doulas, end-of-life doulas for humans, and in this case, end-of-life doulas for companion animals.
Okay, yeah. So I actually, I mean, that was the first time I'd heard the word doula was in fact, if in the human form, it was a sort of a birthing partner, as you were. And as like you pointed out, it's non-medical. So you're just there for the support and to help them with all sorts of things. Presumably, so that looks at the whole picture. So when we talk about end-of-life doula for companion animals, we're talking about a dog that's coming towards the end of their life. Either they have a medical condition or they're simply aging and getting closer to that time where the family may want to make a decision to euthanize or something like it. So is that where you come in? Is that where, so you would somebody, how would a client come to you, and what would you do for them? What would you offer them in that? Let's just say, let me give you an example. So I have an aging dog. He's, sort of getting on. I can see the signs of aging occurring. He hasn't got any serious medical condition at the moment, but I can see that the time is coming. His eyesight's going, his hearing's going, his movement is, he's not eating as well as he should. All these kind of things are happening, and I'm starting to fear the end of life now. And I don't know what it's going to look like, what to do, how to do it. And when the end comes, I have no idea. Is that something, would I reach out to you and say, Kathy, I need help?
Exactly. And even I would focus on even helping, like giving these resources and this information to veterinarians, to rescues, to shelters, so that we can even talk about this before you would notice those declines. I think that as humans, we just really don't even want to look at this part of our acknowledge this part of our companion animal's life. End of life it tears us apart when we have to look at that. So if we can start even before that, that's even better. And that's part of my education with the veterinarians that I'm going to be doing in all these shelters and all of these support services is let's get this information into our guardians' hands well before the time would be needed. But yes, in general, when you would start seeing this decline and start thinking about, this may be coming, then you reach out to a doula, and we would sit down. And it depends on the doula and what their processes are. I'm actually working on what's called an advanced directive for companion animals document. And that's something that I'm going to be using for education and information for potential clients and for my supports, like the veterinarians of rescues, shelters. And we sit down and we just look at all of the different options, and we talk about what you want, how you feel, and just it's a really kind of a free flow type conversation. We go into each experience with a beginner's mind. It's something we learned about in our course, to have beginner's mind. Every client, every companion animal, that can be a dog, a cat, a horse, a lizard, a bird, a snake, a fish, any companion animal team is going to be unique. So we go in with the beginner's mind, not knowing and not assuming anything, and we just start to talk. And we find out where you're at. And in the course, we actually had to create a resource document, which was really kind of an interesting exercise. So we also have resources for you if you have questions, if you have thoughts, if you want to investigate further. We can give you resources on different types of options that you would have for the end of life experience, whether it be at your clinic, whether it be at your home, whether it be at a park or place that is special to you and your companion animal. We help you personalize your experience. We help talk about as many different factors, like you say, they're aging. Maybe they've been diagnosed with cancer. Is there a hospice available for your companion animal? It's more of a hospice is more of a concept than it is an actual place.
Mm-hmm.
But we even talk about that. We talk about all of the emotional, the financial, the physical aspects of it all, and try and really help you fine tune your details as much as possible, so that you, at that time, once we get all these details done, we work through your advance directive, then you are free to be with your companion animal and to put your time and your energy and your memories and everything towards that time with your animal, versus having to worry about all these different things. We even will cover the what ifs if they're like middle of the night or on a weekend, or sometimes when your veterinary professional isn't available. What are the contingencies for that? Because that is a very tragic,
Yeah.
Time for you. And the last thing you want is to have to start like trying to figure out where you're going to go, what you're going to do. I personally want to help my clients create a end of life kit, so that if something does happen, they can grab and go. And of course, whatever goes into that kit is whatever my client wants for their companion animal, and how they want this experience, this end of life experience, to look like, and try and meet that as much as possible in any of the contingencies that we have. So we would sit down together, go through the advance directive, find out what you would want from me as your doula, as your emotional, physical support. If it's depending on the length of the illness, it may be a long-standing relationship, it may be a short one. You may get to the end of the end of death experience, and you might just say, I cannot do this, I can't be there. I can be your surrogate, and you'll have that relationship with me, so that you know that your companion animal will cross over with somebody that they know and that you and they both feel comfortable with. So there's a lot of different ways we can go about this to help support you in your way. And we don't judge, we don't bring our agenda into it. Beginner's mind. This is your experience, your journey with your companion animal, and we help you feel strong as you can in this situation. We give you your strength so that you can walk through this journey with your animal.
Wow, that is just, I mean, I'm just getting goosebumps just listening to it, because I just think there are so many questions as a dog guardian you go through, as you say, leading up to that time, or even way before, even if you've had past animals in your life and they have passed on, you've got bad memories and experiences or something, or sadness or grief or whatever. And you sort of, we talk sometimes about anticipatory
Anticipatory
grief,
grief.
that's going to
Mhm.
come.
Yep.
So, and it's so difficult in our society to be able to, sometimes we can't even talk to our own family and family and partners about this, because it doesn't seem, well, it's just a dog, well, it's just a cat, it's just a fish, come on, and
Mhm.
yet we have these incredible deep emotions and questions and worries and concerns. And how beautiful to have somebody there who's going to, as you say, not judge you, just, help you, guide you, listen to what you would like, what you need, and what you need at that time, whether it be emotional or literally, as you say, resources. I don't understand this. Where can I find out more information about this? What do I have to do? Which, and I suppose it's going to be different in every area all over the world for what is available and what's not available. A question, what is the difference? Is my understanding correct that a hospice is more, again, the medical side of it versus, and you as the doula work together with a hospice team, or you would just send the client to a hospice if they wanted, or what's the difference there?
So the hospice, I would say yes, would be more medical. I think people don't, a lot of guardians don't understand or don't realize that there are veterinarians out there that specialize in hospice, or that
Okay.
most veterinarians can have some elements of hospice involved. And that could be that is definitely going to be a medical thing. There is some, like Brighthaven, for example, Brighthaven Sanctuary, they have an animal hospice course that I want to take for my own education to find out what this looks like. But and depending on the type of hospice and what they're doing, some of it can be, I think some of it can be supported by a doula.
Mm-hmm.
Although I I have a friend of mine that I met through this program and through the Let Animals Lead Reiki program, who's not too far from me, and she's really interested in the hospice side of it.
Mm-hmm.
So she's doing some extra education on that. So our roles are very defined as far as medical, non-medical, but the hospice side could be just mainly for us is just more of a concept to explain, to let clients know that are available so that they can ask their veterinarian. And I always will say to them, check with your veterinarian first to see what they offer. And then, that gives the veterinarian time if they would like to get resources from me as to who does hospice, such as Brighthaven. And I can give the veterinarian that resource so that veterinarian can reach out to, say, Brighthaven as an example,
Mm-hmm.
and they can start helping coordinate care. And so we're really kind of just there to help direct some of this traffic that's coming from all these different directions.
That's brilliant. Yeah.
Well, yeah, while we're staying in our scope of practice.
That's so, I mean, I can just imagine as well, let's say somebody is really, feeling the emotional burden of it and is unable to do the practicalities of it, like you said. So that's where, again, you could help, let me make the phone calls for you, let me sort things
Mhm,
out for you, that kind of thing. So would that be
sure.
something?
Yeah, and like you were saying
Brilliant.
about practicality, something as simple as um, say you want to intern your companion animal at your home.
Mm-hmm.
So depending on where you live, if you're in the country, not a problem. But if you're within the city limits, I actually reached out to various counties and cities in my area to find out what their ordinances are for that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have that as something that I can, and information I can give to the family. But even Digger's Hotline, you know, if you want to do this, there's that practicality that you have to call Digger's
Yeah,
Hotline,
yeah,
get
yeah.
that taken care of before
Mm.
you would have your ceremony and you would do your rituals and you would do your internment with your companion animal. So there's a lot of, like you say, those little practicalities that we can coordinate. So once we know what your wishes are, we can then help suggest, suggest certain things that we can help with so that it frees you up in order to be able to just be,
Mm.
and I always say just be, and I don't mean it to minimize being as in just. I'm saying like just as in you don't have to worry about anything else. You can be with your animal and you can, do your memories, do your meaning making, have fun. Because one of the things we talk about is, what do you love to do? What does your dog love to do, or your cat or your horse, or what do you love to do with them? Do that. Take pictures, write about it, and we help make those memories too. It's things that
Beautiful.
when, the monkey mind of all of this grief starts to hit, we can kind of help direct some of this. In a way, it's interesting learning again how to communicate and how to support in a different realm. Taking this course, it was pretty. I don't know what the word I want to say is. I guess it was an honor to be able to learn
Mm.
how to support my clients and my guardians in this way. It was pretty
Beautiful.
amazing.
Yeah, it sounds like a pretty amazing course, I'll be honest. So, if what was there something that really stood out for you, or something that was unexpected that you learned in the course that you thought, wow, I wasn't expecting this, learned about yourself or about the course through the course, something perhaps? I don't know.
Yeah, I really did learn a lot about me. And, to be honest, part of what brought me to take the course was just my own grief journey that I've been on for over 3 years. We lost Luna a little over 3 years ago. We lost Thunder a little over 2 years ago, and I still feel that there's a lot of grief there. And I wanted to take this course also for myself. And so I learned a lot about my own grief journey and how cyclic it can be, and
Mhm.
how it never really ends. It just keeps on. It just keeps on. We travel with it and we sit with it in different ways and different feelings, and it's always going to be there. But it was interesting to learn about how to be a story listener instead of a storyteller, because I think so many of us in the service industry, we're supporting, and by supporting we're talking about many different things. But in this realm, to be a story listener and really listening and being able to mirror back what we hear and being able to take what we've heard and pull out the little pearls on how we can help them by listening to what they're saying. That we learned an acronym which has transcended everything I do, and it's WAIT.
Mhm.
Means why am I talking? You
Mhm.
know? And I'm like, wow, that's really, and you start talking to somebody and all of a sudden, why am I talking? So learning how to communicate in a way is like, do I say it? What am I saying it? And should I even be saying it? So learning about that was really interesting. Another thing that was really intriguing to me is how different end of life experiences will look depending on the companion animal. I never thought about um, the euthanization process of, like, exotics, for example,
Mhm.
equine, fish.
Mm.
There's there's so many different. I think about the canine euthanization, and most times it's you're there, you're hands on, you're close, it's a very intimate relationship right there, and it's an intimate process. But in some of these other companion animal settings, the experience is very different, and
Mm.
it can't be close. And how do I help bridge that connection if
Mhm.
they can't be there? And I think animal Reiki
I
practitioner,
was just
and
going to say, because of your animal Reiki, doesn't that come
yes,
into this beautifully? Yeah.
yes, it does. It does. If and in my being a story listener and asking the appropriate questions, I may be able to support the companion animal and the guardian with that energetic space, and maybe give them a little bit of a few tools, energetic tools that they can use to create that connection. So I think that, being an animal Reiki practitioner has really brought me around to this too, but just seeing how the different facets of what I've learned so far kind of draw right into this. And but
And
yeah,
for instance, your meditations and things, I mean, your
mhm.
beautiful meditations that you do, isn't that a beautiful way of helping people to connect with their animals or holding that space with them or just being with them, during their process?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But that was, yeah, those are some really interesting things in how to best go about supporting the client and supporting the guardian and
And
supporting the
what they
companion.
need, yeah, what's right for them and what feels good for them. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So
Fascinating, really amazing. I'm blown away that this, as I say, I didn't even know until a while ago, until it was actually just before you mentioned to me that you were going to go and do this course. And I'm like, what is that? That I'd seen it somewhere else for the first time. And I was like, wow, this is incredible. Didn't know that something existed. And I can absolutely see the value in it, for so many guardians. Just, that helping hand through all these processes, because we know, even from a human point of view, you know how complex that whole thing can be. And it can be equally, because we have those very strong bonds and relationships with our companion animals too. So
right.
there's,
And yep. And that was, thank you. You reminded me of something I wanted to mention. And that's kind of what the the animal Reiki practitioner offering that service. I have a lot of people that reach out to me
Mhm.
when their animal is either passed already or they're sick, or they're close to passing over, and they reach out to me for that support. And so I was like, well, I've been doing this, and how can I better support them? So that when I found the end of life doula for companion animals course, I was like, wow, this could really help me help them. And then the other reason why I really wanted to do the certification and get this learning was because as a family dog mediator, I'm asking people to create a relationship with their companion animal. I'm asking them to look at their companion animal in a deeper level, and to build that respect and love for them like they would for themselves. And so I felt that if I'm asking them to make this deep connection with their companion animal, that is a deeper connection, and that is going to create a different kind of grief at the end of life experience. So if I'm asking them here, I would need to be able to support them here. So I figure this is like a full circle service that I can give them, so that they can um, they can have that support if they're going to create that kind of connection. And who knows, maybe many people, like you say, Sue, they've got that anticipatory grief, or they're getting another animal, let's just say a dog, for example. They get another dog and they've lost a dog, and right away you can't help but have that anticipatory grief because you know what that feels like. So if I come in and say, whatever, and at some point in our relationship I can mention, or they'll see it on my website when it gets that to that point, then they'll have that comfort of knowing that there's going to be somebody there that understands at the end.
Somebody
Another
that they
fast,
know and trust already, with building that
yes,
relationship in the first place. I love that. Absolutely love
yes.
that.
And another thing that I kind of hit on right away, that I was talking to I actually found this whole thing through a conversation on Facebook, and I reached out and I private messaged the person that said that she took this course through the University of Vermont. And I said, I almost look at myself as a grief doula.
Mhm.
And I kind of say that because when we're talking about companion animals, the end of life experience brings that grief, yes.
Yeah.
But there's different facets of grief and different endings and different finalities throughout living your life with a companion animal that doesn't involve an end of life. It can be that you adopt a dog into your home and it turns out not to be a good fit. And then you have to make that decision that is probably best for the animal the dog to go back to the rescue or go back to the shelter. There's a lot of grief in that ending.
Yes.
And there's a lot of guilt in that ending.
Yeah.
And, or you bring a companion animal into your home, a dog, and there's a lot of challenges. There's a lot of behavioral issues and
Yeah.
things like that. And so the lassie experience that you had seen in your head and had in your heart all of a sudden has turned out to be something very different. And that is a grief. So there's so many different layers of grief to living your life with a companion animal. And this experience that I've had with this course I feel is gonna help me be able to support all of those different facets of grief. As I was telling you earlier, that one lady that reached out to me recently, the end result was she decided to return the dog back to the shelter, and she felt very grief stricken and that she let the dog down and let herself down and was very hesitant about what the future held for her. We did a lot of talking. I did a lot of supporting, and hopefully that helped her feel better about her decisions because it was the right one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so
Beautiful. And that I mean, just thinking about that myself, I remember the grief I went through, as you say, when I realized that Charlie wasn't the dog that I had wished for and wanted to, and I had all these expectations, and I went through so many different, trainers trying different things, and when I actually realized at the end of the day, it wasn't about fixing or changing. This is who he was, and I had to learn to accept him and understand him and learn to live with his high vibe character and that kind of thing. There was grief. There was grief for that dog that I wish I had. There was shame and guilt that I couldn't get it right. There was all these emotions that came up, and yeah, and having somebody who understands that and can help me through that part of it as well, has it's certainly been a part of my job that I've learned, and I think I've had to learn that the hard way as well, so that I can help my clients and with that as well. So wow. So there's a difference. So you've done end of life doula, but there's a grief doula as well. So there's two separate things, or is it combined in your course? You've done both.
I think we worked a lot with grief and they talked about anticipatory grief and all that. So I think it's just sometimes I kind of, it's my own personal struggle as to, do I call myself an end of life doula or do I call myself a grief doula, because I don't want to pigeonhole myself in one spot or the other.
Yes.
But I really think they're synonymous. I think
Absolutely.
if you're an end of life doula for companion animals,
grief is going to be naturally a part of that. Yeah.
Right. And I think with my daughter is my media marketing specialist, and she's in Scotland right now. So once she gets back and gets settled, we're going to start working on some marketing, and she's going to hopefully help me with being able to bring in that grief for other facets in the mix. Beautiful. But so it really is. And it was interesting because I'm finding resources for my directory. Of course, I also was reaching out to our mental health professionals here in Watertown, because that's an important resource to have too. And normalizing talking to a professional about your grief is so important, because mental health is just as vital as our physical health, and there's always been such a stigma to it. So I did ask them, I said, do you specialize in, working at the hospital? I know these people personally. And I said, does anybody specialize in canine or companion animal grief, during end of life? And they said, Kathy, grief is grief, which is pretty true. I think though that like you had touched on, Sue, people will say it's just a dog, it's just a cat, that kind of thing. But I really feel the yin and the yang of life right now is that our animals, our companion animals, are becoming more streamlined, central to our
Yes,
families.
yes.
Is which is, like I said, it's good. It's good in so many ways. And so I think the recognition of that grief during the end of life process, the end of life experience for our companion animals, it needs to be recognized. And I don't think there's enough people who I don't know that there's enough support, I should say, enough support out there for those folks that really want to sit down and work through it in a
Mm,
deeper way.
mm,
So
mm, mm. Beautiful. Yeah, I'm in awe, Kathy, of you. I always have been as a wonderful person that you are, doing all
thank you.
these things, shining your light out there, and just doing so much good for both people and their animals. So thank you for being you. Thank you for sharing about this new exciting journey that you've started. Where can people reach you? How do they get hold of you? Are you already practicing? I'm presuming you are already practicing as this now. People can contact you and you will do this online, or is it only in your community? How does this work?
Well, and that's kind of where I'm at right now. Is I've gone through the course. This advanced directive has kind of been the thing that was knocking at the door the hardest. So I've got that out there. So right now, we're trying to get myself and my friend Julie. We're trying to really start to get the information out there.
Mm.
So I want to do some webinars. I want to do some web presentations. I want to do, in-person presentations. I haven't yet at this point in time had a client contact because I want to find out exactly where my lane is. I with working full time and whatnot all yet. I'm I'm not sure how big I want this to get right now, but anybody here that's listening and anybody in our group, if they have any questions, they want to talk more, they need support, absolutely. This is kind of my way of rolling it out, is rolling it out intimately to start with. So
Beautiful.
anyone here, absolutely. My Facebook page, you can look me up personally, Kathy Wolff. I've got a business page, Mosaic Dog Training LLC. And my email is my name, all in lowercase, Kathy.Wolff00@gmail.com. So yeah, like I said, this is in my infancy too, but to me, it's nothing new. I'm always here to listen and I'm always here to support as best I can. So yeah, feel free, reach out and when I get the document, when I work with the program director and have the document finalized for the advanced directive, I will share it with you, Sue, so that you can share it on
Beautiful.
in our group, and it can be used wherever, however, anybody would want it.
Wow, that's amazing, Kathy. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you for being open to to people reaching out to you and getting some more
Absolutely.
some information and support. And I can't wait for the first webinar. In fact, if you want to do a webinar with, I can organize. I'll sort it out. I'll do. I think
Yay!
it's just such valuable information, just such an important topic. That's many people don't even know exists, and something that can be just so helpful. And so yeah, when you and myself are both holistic practitioners, and this is the whole passing process, the whole death process, the whole aging process is part of the picture. We can't take that away. We can't just pretend it doesn't exist because it doesn't feel good. And we
Right.
can approach it with that equally beautiful, open-hearted, open-minded, holistic, sense, and coming from that place, it can just be another part of our beautiful journey together with our animals.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Sue. That was
Yeah.
perfect.
So thank you, Kathy. Thank you for your time. Yeah,
Welcome.
I know
Thank
that
you.
you're off to go and do something beautiful for your local community, for your kids and dogs. So off you go and enjoy that. And I look forward to chatting with you again. Thank you.
I look forward to chatting to everybody. Mwah. Thank you all for coming.
Take care, Kathy. Bye-bye.
Bye.